Yo, when I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Kop End Fracas, powered by Touchline Media Group. I am your host, Krish, and this week I am joined by Mike, Ellis, and Faruk. Gentlemen, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening? I do have to put it out there that we are recording this at 9:30 on a Tuesday evening. Many things are changing as we're recording this. We're probably going to have updates about every 10 seconds, but we're going to do our best. But of course, gents, how are you all doing?
Yeah, I'm fantastic, thank you.
Super League to the world, man. Super League to the world.
To the world. A morality mic over there, bro.
Nah, man. Yeah, man. It's a sad day. It's a sad day for change, man.
This guy.
As you can tell, unless you've been living under so many rocks in the past kind of 48 hours, crack rocks probably, the European Super League is the topic on everyone's lips at the moment, and it's just been dominating every single news cycle imaginable, albeit it is being kind of pushed onto us all by the Sky propaganda machine, but we will discuss that in a little bit more detail, I'm sure, as we get stuck into the pod. But yeah, the European Super League, which has been a little bit of a spectre in the background since about 2007, 2008, if I'm not mistaken, came to the fruition Sunday as the top six Premier League teams announced their participation in the competition amongst a host of European giants, spearheaded by Don Florentino Perez of Real Madrid, who has literally been running around like he's Park, included Barcelona, AC Milan, Juventus, and a whole host of other clubs. So what we're going to do on this pod is we're going to talk about the potential positives and negatives of a European Super League. We will have to caveat this, though, with teams are pulling out of the European Super League as quick as possible now due to the negative backlash, again, from the Sky propaganda machine and whatnot. But again, we're going to discuss the positives and negatives and if this leaves the door open to long-term reform in general, which I think we can all agree as a group, and we've been discussing in the past 2 days, is 100% needed in all assets of the game, from the Premier League to the FA to UEFA to FIFA. Every single aspect of the game needs some form of reform. So I'm going to let Morality Mike kick us off on the negatives of a European Super League. I'm going to give Mike the floor. I think it's only fair to kick us off.
I feel like I've been put under the spotlight here by all the ops. Uncle L there laughing his head off. Main event Krish there. No, but to be honest with you guys, listen, I think we should recognise this moment as a critical juncture in the history of football. So this is a moment now where I think we've all realised that we have to move. Then something needs to give, right? So the big clubs have made their move. They want to obviously form this European Super League, or wanted to form this European Super League. And I can understand from their point of view why they wanted to form this European Super League. My main objection was the idea that it kind of erodes the competitive ethos of football, which we hold as sacrosanct as football fans. So we believe that we need to be playing for something, right? The game means something to us, right? And it's the idea that these 15 clubs can be in this European Super League and not face the consequences of their failure. We also know exactly why these clubs are forming this league. It's not because they want to provide us with an amazing brand of football, as Florentino Perez said yesterday. They want to entertain the fans. Real Madrid are in dire straits at the moment financially. So are Barcelona. So are Inter Milan. So are Arsenal Football Club. These clubs are really not in a good place financially. Tottenham Hotspur could do with a cash injection themselves. You know, they're not making big signings. They haven't been making big signings for the last few years. So these clubs all need money. So it's not the idea that these clubs are doing this for us, for the fans, so they can play each other every week. It was mainly for the money, and I understand that. I understand why these clubs feel entitled to the money, because these clubs bring in a lot of revenue. You know, Liverpool Football Club, Manchester United Football Club, these are the two biggest clubs in this country. The other clubs that join are massive clubs in their countries. Obviously, Tottenham, all these clubs are relatively, important in their country. But the idea that 15 clubs can stay in the league together, never face the consequences of failure. They haven't got much to play for apart from a league title. And if they don't win a league title, that's it. That, to me, is against the competitive ethos of football that we hold as sacrosanct, as I said. And that was my main objection with it. It's the idea that you can't be punished for underperformance, because we see teams constantly, big teams, punished for underperformance. Arsenal Football Club right now are at a critical juncture in their history. We speak about football being at a critical juncture. Arsenal now have been outside the top four for what, 5 years now? 4 years? They're going to finish, what, 9th or 10th this year again. Leicester might occupy a space in the top four. Leicester already played Europa League football last year. If Leicester were to make the top four this year, maybe win the FA Cup as well, who knows? They go on to make some big signings in the summer. They can go from a club who were maybe on the periphery of the top six, of the big six, to maybe in a few years' time ousting Arsenal from the top six because Arsenal have underperformed and have been punished by Leicester as a result. So yes, this system we have now is unfair. And I'm not defending the status quo, by the way. I'm not defending Sky, who have been hypocrites. And I think, a lot of the Sky stuff has been absolutely ridiculous, because Sky and the Premier League and UEFA, they all play a role, and they've all provided a platform for the formation or the potential formation of European Super League, because football as it stands now is deeply unfair. It's inherently unfair, and it's inherently driven by greed as it stands. But this would have deeply entrenched greed to another level, right? These 15 clubs would have faced no consequences for their underperformance. And that for me was something I was really, really wholeheartedly against. And you guys obviously know, you calling me morality Mike and all of this sort of thing. Listen, I understand, completely understand where you guys are coming from as well on the issue, but I just felt really, really strongly against, more than anything, the competitive reason for football, and also teams not being punished for underperformance. But what I would say is football at the moment is fundamentally broken, because you look across Europe, right? Juventus are going to win, or they were going to win, maybe another league title this year. Obviously, they're not going to win it because Inter Milan are going to win it instead. But they've won 9 league titles in a row. PSG are on course to win 6 out of 7, I think. Bayern Munich have won, 9 in a row themselves as well. So these big clubs have a stranglehold over their leagues anyway. So something's got to give. Something's literally got to give. This is not sustainable. We can't keep seeing these European teams dominate their league. We're the only thing stopping City from dominating the Premier League. City would have won the league 4 years in a row if it wasn't for us.
Agreed.
So, we are at a critical juncture in the history of football, but I feel like this move from these European super clubs was the wrong move. But I hope we are at a point now where we all realise that, listen, things need to change. The UEFA tournament that they proposed, by the way, is an absolute joke. The Champions League, that's an absolute joke as well. But I hope we now realise that things have to change and we need to move on, have discussions about the future of football that can benefit all clubs. But ultimately, I do agree with this. I do think big clubs deserve to eat a bigger slice of the cake because of what they bring to the table.
I think that was definitely well said, and I think the issue when we put it together in terms of greed, it's also been perpetuated by organisations such as Sky. Realistically, when you think about it, because when did deadline day become a big thing? When did people dancing outside the grounds because they signed Mesut Ozil? I'm only using that as an example, by the way, because it's the only one I remember. When did that just become a thing? I mean, that whole fetishization, and that's good. I'm going to use that as a word today, by the way. I learned that word earlier on. I'm going to use it throughout this pod. That whole kind of glamorization of big money transfers and, the use of money in sports has been perpetuated by Sky, and it's literally personified by Jim White in a yellow tie on deadline day. So it's a give and take system, and ultimately, I think one of the reasons why this proposal was kind of sent through by a lot of the teams, and more than likely probably backed by Liverpool, was the failure to implement FFP from a UEFA point across the board, as we knew that was one of the areas that John Henry and FSG were primarily focusing on as being their competitive edge, with the smart way that we do transfers and do business to kind of really cement ourselves as a super player, which, to be fair, to our credit, we've actually done in the past few years. Granted, we probably should have built on that, but again, that's a conversation for another day. But we've done that, and it is a big shame. But Faruk, I'm going to give you the first rebuttal to what Mike said there, and why you thought the European Super League was a good thing and the change it would have kind of implemented in the game.
Okay, I mean, in terms of what Mike's saying, don't definitely understand a lot of the things he's saying. I'm not trying to, come and say he's wrong for what he believes, but the facts are there for everyone to see that football as it isn't competitive anyway. And I've had quite a few discussions over the last few days with friends and whatever, like everybody else has. And people complaining about, the fact that the teams wouldn't be sanctioned for underperformance isn't true, because that would have been subject, the founding members all would have been subject to review every 5 years, from what I understand. And if they were underperforming, they would have been dropped out. So that's from my understanding. Obviously, this was all a proposal. So that's not true. Another thing is, if you look in the last 10 years, only 6 teams, actually 7 teams have qualified for the Champions League from England. And that one time was Leicester. Outside of that, it's always the same 6 teams. It's 4 of those 6 teams that qualify for the Champions League. That's a fact. So those 6 teams have kind of by right over the last decade earned the right to be in that elite group by virtue of that alone, right? Now, everyone's saying, oh, but that means Leicester and Chelsea, West Ham wouldn't get a chance to play in the Super League or the Champions League. Isn't true, because they would have given one more space to the best performing side, so the team that finished 7th could have potentially got in. So again, a lot of the rebuttals were fake, but it's because of misinformation, and that's all they cared about. Sky just wants a lot of misinformation, a lot of uproar, confusion, and that's it. Sky have their own agenda. Like, I think it was Carl Henry tweeted, if Sky got exclusive rights to Super League, they would have been backing this. That wouldn't have happened. A clear example of what they're doing and trying to manipulate people is Monday Night Football was free for 45 minutes while they pushed their agenda, and then the match that Monday, the actual football wasn't free. No, you have to pay for that. But we're gonna push our agenda, and then after that, we're gonna cancel the YouTube stream and whatnot, and you're not gonna pay for it, or check live score. So for me, it's a lot of hypocrisy. Everybody's hypocritical, but the bottom line is we look at football as probably the most popular sport in the world globally. Am I wrong?
No, it 100% is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in saying that, the best league in the world, or the most popular league in the world, being the Premier League, making half annually in terms of revenue what the NFL make, something's fundamentally wrong. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That doesn't make any sense. And you can understand why the American owners are annoyed, because they've seen it's like we're literally losing money every time we play because we're not maximizing the commercial potential. That's just one aspect of it. Like, football is, I don't want to be dramatic and say football is broken, but even the consumption of football is so dated that, like, nobody can see past what Sky Sports are saying. Everybody just listens to Sky Sports. Mike, I don't know if anybody here is subscribed to, pays monthly for Sky, but on what other planet would you pay for something and get told what you can watch? You pay for Sky, right? And they pick the games for you. Do you know how backwards that is in itself? But they have so much power.
Especially when you got the NBA, where you can buy the league pass for the
literally,
year.
Literally, and it just makes sense. But Sky won't do that, And then they've got this bullshit 3 p.m. blackout rule that means, what do you call it? They control what games are on TV because it's for the good of the game. They want fans to attend the game, and they don't want them to stay at home and watch it on TV. That's bullshit, because everybody will rather go and watch the match live than watch it from home. So that's bullshit. It's just control. But back to what Mike's saying about competitiveness, yeah, I think, no disrespect, Mike, that's BS, because the league isn't competitive, and it hasn't been for a while, and it's always the same teams competing. And like Fahi said in the group chat, Burnley and all those other yo-yo clubs, and also all the other clubs that finish 9th to 14th, do not care about competing. They do not set up to win. They set up to sustain. And the owners literally take money, the same money that Man City and Man United are getting annually from the Premier League. They take it and they don't even spend half of it. And they just fill their pockets. And everybody sees what's happening. So everybody's self-serving. Everybody's protecting their interests. So there is no morality in football, And that's why I was behind the Super League, because it's just like, let's just keep it real. Do you know what I mean? But it's fine. Sky Sports won. And that's the biggest winner in all of this. I hope everybody knows Sky Sports are the biggest winner in all of this. And, we'll continue to see what happens. But these owners are going to pull out. And we'll see what happens in football. We'll see. Go on, Mike.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't say, I'm not backing Sky, by the way. I wouldn't say Sky are the biggest winners here, by the way, because I don't think it was great for football. But that's obviously my point of view. My big thing on the competitive thing is, like, listen, in theory, can Leicester probably win the league again? Probably not. But this would mean they absolutely cannot win the league again, because the financial disparity between them and the rest would be between the big six and the rest would have been ridiculous. Would have been absolutely like beyond anything we can imagine at the moment.
Quick one, and just to understand. So basically, you're saying that because of the money they would have made from the Super League, the other clubs couldn't have competed in the league, right?
Well, no, because the financial disparity would be too much.
So that means you're against. Just say, for example, I don't know, Jeff Bezos decides to buy all the Champions League rights, and as a result, every team that qualifies gets 350 million from that one season. The disparity is enough to mean that nobody else qualifies. Is that what you're saying?
Bro, this is a group where these teams cannot leave this group. Though,
No. Wait, I'm just waiting.
So in those 15 teams, they cannot leave. Though theoretically, they cannot leave, right?
Okay,
they
cool.
are founding members, so they can't leave. In the Champions League, you still have to qualify.
I'm not disputing that. But let's base on your theory, right? In the last 10 years, the same 6 teams have qualified, bar one anomaly. Yeah. So let's operate on the premise that the same thing happens for the next 10 years. And then Jeff Bezos buys the Champions League broadcasting rights. And as a result, clubs are earning a lot more than they are, right? For qualifying for the Champions League. Does that disparity create a lack of competition?
Bro, I'm not saying that football at the moment is fair or competitive. I'm saying this would lead to a deeper entrenchment where it's irreversible. This would be irreversible.
Then I disagree. I disagree. That's irreversible. View,
bro. I personally think it would be irreversible.
At the moment,
we are still seeing teams buck the trend. How often in the last 10 years have the big 6 finished 1-6 in the league? How often?
Pardon?
How often?
Yeah, it's almost all the time.
It's not almost all the time.
It's almost all the time. Okay, so by virtue of
Liverpool finished 8th some seasons. Arsenal finished what, 9th, 8th? Couple seasons. Teams are bucking the trend.
I think it's only once.
They're not always finishing in the top 6, bro. Check.
I said but they seem to qualify for Europa League. And that's the purpose of finishing within those.
Arsenal qualified for Europa League last year because they won the cup, not because they finished in the top.
Okay. So they're in Europe, right? Hello?
Yeah, they're in Europe, bro.
Yeah, okay, cool. So by virtue of that, they're in Europe. They're competing in Europe. All these 6 teams, unless I'm mistaken, for the last 5 years, most of them have competed in Europe, right? At some capacity,
but the point is that some teams can still buck the trend. Listen, I agree with you.
What do they do with that?
And bro, when these teams have been in Europe for how many years, as you mentioned, in a row, Arsenal in Europe for how many years in a row, Tottenham in Europe for how many years in a row. Obviously, there is a financial disparity that does begin to show up in these leagues. That's why we see Juventus winning their league 9 years in a row, because they've been in the Champions League for how many years they've been in. But still, these teams, right? Let me land, because these teams can still be mismanaged. Arsenal can still be mismanaged to the point where they leave an opening for someone else to take their spot. And if Arsenal don't buck up their ideas, Arsenal could fall by the wayside. In the same way, 10 years ago, we were like FSG away from falling by the wayside.
Okay.
So teams can be. So the point is, teams can have a financial advantage. They can be in the Champions League where they have to qualify, by the way, every year, but they can still fall by the wayside theoretically because there are still things that can happen. With this Super League, things couldn't happen. You're in this league whether you like it or not. I don't buy the whole 5-year review thing. I believe these teams would have been in this league whether they underperformed or not, and that's that. This with what we have now, with the Champions League in place, yes, the same teams do still qualify, but we do see, as we are seeing this season, as we are seeing with Arsenal Football Club at a critical moment in their history, we are still seeing teams in this elite group underperform and be mismanaged. Tottenham Hotspur are in the same position. They've just sacked their manager. Who on earth are they going to employ? They might lose their best player.
Okay,
these teams still get mismanaged, and they still leave openings despite this financial disparity for others.
Okay, and in all these openings, right? Wait, let me tackle everything you're doing bit by bit. That's why I wanted to kind of cut you off so that I could tackle each thing. So look, you said they bucked the trend, right? With this trend that Leicester bucked, what have they done? What have they done with it?
One season, man.
Pardon?
One season, bro. So you need to give these teams time to like.
No. Okay. So what other teams outside of the top 6 have qualified for Europe? Let's just Europe in general. So Europa and all of that stuff.
But Burnley did it that 1 year and then went completely off the rails. Wolves did it last year and got to was it quarterfinals?
Mm-hmm. And then that's West Ham. when
West
Europa
Ham
went.
done it
Everton
in 20,
did it.
after the quiet season, and Everton have done it recently as well.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Everton are considered a mainstay for me in the Premier League. If you look in the Premier League, they're probably one of 8 or 9 teams that haven't really relegated for the last 10 years. So I consider
Yeah, I
them a
think they
mainstay.
are, yeah.
Yeah. But this bucking the trend, I think, is heavily romanticized because these teams, what they actually do, and what you probably don't want to admit, is they succeed one season, they hoard the money that they get, and they don't improve the quality of the team, and then it's back to the norm every year.
But Burnley are the prime example of that.
It's not
Literally.
But they have less of a margin for error when they do make it into this league because of the financial disparity between them anyway. So if you're Burnley, and you make the big time,
I think the point that Faruk's trying to make is that if you are in this league where you kind of get the opportunity to make that leap, shouldn't you go all in as opposed to kind of resting on your laurels to consistently keep improving in that? If you don't show the desire, then kind of what is the actual point? On the other side, you look at Wolves, they are trying to gear up to try and break into that kind of top 6 mold. Whether they'll actually do it is a different completely example in its entirety. But they will be happy with being a Europa League club, being within that kind of top 8. So there needs to be some more ambition to kind of get yourself into the party, but also keep pushing on and doing a little bit more.
But can I just say that I'm not saying at the moment football's inherently fair and everyone's. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's still theoretically more of a chance now.
That's true. I agree.
Than there would be. Than there would be if the Super League was put in place. That's my argument. I'm not saying football's fair now and everyone's winning Champions Leagues and everyone's having a good time. No, that's completely false.
Okay, all I'd say is, because Ellis hasn't spoken, but I'd just let this be kind of a wake-up call, because if things don't change, it's just a prediction. But I see a lot of owners pulling out, because if you invest in something and it's not fulfilling its potential, even to maybe you'd say 50-60% of what you're going to pull out. It's really simple. These people are not stupid. Do you get what I'm trying to say? FSG bought Liverpool on the premise that, there's going to be FFP. Oh, so there's not going to be FFP. All right, let's create a system whereby we can maximize profits. Let's create a system where we can, own our own rights, which we should. Because if it's not a franchise, then why should you dictate, that we're getting a certain amount of money when teams are actually watching the whole league because of us? It's unfair, it's broken, just like you said. And I think I'm more upset about the misinformation that's been spread and the fact that now I feel like any potential of reconciliation or reform is not going to happen because people are so thick and stupid. I'm probably more frustrated than that. Mike, you're taking a quite fair stance. I don't think you're as extreme as some people have. But the reason why I wanted to see it is because I think football needs to change, like a massive, massive change. But we're not going to see that now. We're generally not going to see that. We're going to get the Swiss model and the UEFA Champions League, and everyone should enjoy that.
And the funny thing about the Swiss model is there are a certain amount of elite clubs. If they do miss out on the Champions League, they're added into it because of the ball.
Yeah, that model it's an absolute joke. That model.
It makes no
it's
sense.
More games, less money for the big clubs as well than they would have got in the Super League. It's absolutely stupid. If people care about football, Sky going on there doing his big broadcast, MNF, Carragher there popping veins out of his head, Neville there crying on Sky. If they care about football, go on Monday Night Football next week and complain about the Swiss model the UEFA Champions League are putting out there. It's horrible. It's nearly as bad.
Because it's not Sky's problem. It's BT's problem.
Yeah.
So it's a calamitous thing, really. And I think we do have. I have to kind of piggyback on what Faruk said there. Mikey's coming from this as a rational fan and a rational consumer.
Very, very
He's not one of these jobless folk that were like running a team buses, attacking players when they had nothing to do with the actual decision itself. Yesterday, we have to say that because Mike's a good lad. He's from a good home. Else, we're 25 minutes of the pod. I'm not urging you to speak. I want to get your thoughts on the Super League.
Yeah, Mike and Faruk have done a sterling job. This is why we employed them. I'm saying
it's better than Monday Night Football.
Oh, mate. Absolutely, bruv. You ain't got flipping Gary Neville spitting at your TV
and
crying.
It's always free as well. So there you go.
Oh, mate. I'm saying free all the way through. Fucking Sky, bruv. But yeah, my thing was the reason why I was for it is because one, I like chaos. If you know me by now, I just like that. I just like everyone. I just like the fire. I just like everything burning. To be fair, I was there for it. But also, like Faruk said, I think I'm from a premise of if we as a club bring in the most views to your product, we should be given a good amount of money. Do you know what I'm saying? If BT are given just BT own all the rights in England to show Champions League or UEFA's products, whatever. If BT are giving you £400 million a season, yeah, why on earth is the winner of the Champions League only getting 19 million? Do you know what I'm saying? That's one.
Whose pocket is it lining?
Where's the money? Where's the money going? Where's the money?
Where's the Arteta money, Bill?
That's what I'm saying. That's one thing. Also, like if you look at the last 20 years, if you look at all the people that have gone to the final, it's mainly the top teams. Bar Valencia twice, Ajax, Valencia, who else? Bayer Leverkusen, Porto and Monaco, and one other team. But majority of the teams is the big.
To be honest with you, I'd probably say that we were probably one of them who booked the trend. Really, when you think about it.
Yeah,
definitely.
The last 20,
exactly. 4 or 5, like we was like raw, like Liverpool's here. So again, it's a thing whereby these teams need to be like you need to sweeten them up, man, because they're doing your product a good service, fam. Like we watched Bayern Munich and PSG, two teams who didn't want to go into the into the Super League, but we watched that game and we watched the excitement. It was a good match. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we won't feel the same way of watching Porto and Seville. Like who's gonna watch that? Who's gonna turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I want to watch Porto," unless you support Porto and Seville?
Well, it's the game. It's more the games that pop up and they're more. Let's just say Krasnodar against Atalanta, games like that. Games that won't really get any traction outside of those two cities that they're based in.
And the thing is, those teams and those teams will probably get the same amount of money as a Liverpool versus Real Madrid, which is ridiculous. Because if you look at the views, the Liverpool Real Madrid will always be more. So that's why I was more in favor of the Super League, because I like people who will take their lives into their own hands, who will take their destinies into their own hands. Like you're not paying us good money, so we're gonna do this thing ourselves. And it showed UEFA and it showed FIFA that these men can actually do it. And again, like Faruk said, if it's not a franchise, why are you dictating to us what we can do? Like I think I popped in a group chat the same thing. Like if I have a brand and I have something, how can you tell me where I can show my brand? Liverpool have their own TV station. Like in my head, I'm thinking, well, if we have our own TV station, surely we can show a League Cup and an FA Cup on our own TV station.
Their own TV station where they only do the pre-match build-up and then the TV station goes dark for 120 minutes.
It's mad, like, and it's our TV station. So why can't we show our team on our TV station? And so things like that baffle me. Like, so I just feel that again, yeah, football is broken because, like you're right, Mike. Leicester might one day break into the top 4. They might, but the next season they're gonna fall out because they just don't have the wherewithal to fight off the big teams. These big teams already, disparities already there, and this is what Sky done. This is Sky's fault. The disparity is there. That it's not fair playing. It's not fair. But this is just what Sky done. They've done it from the inception of the Premier League. The big teams got bigger. Before the Premier League, Man United hadn't won the title for 26 years. Premier League comes in, they have money, they use their money well. Boom, game over. It's finished. Do you know what I'm saying? I talked about Oldham and Swindon. They were in the Premier League when they started. Because the money didn't trickle down, they could never ever come back again. So Sky have taken the Premier League. They said that after the Football League, we're going to give you a little bit of money, and you're just going to be there. But now it's all of a sudden like, oh, the big teams are saying like, nah, we don't like that. We're ducking out. It's all a big problem. See, I'm always against the hypocrisy. I'm against against the lying and the thievery and the treachery of FIFA and UEFA, because it is ridiculous, man. Like I said in the group, football's been dead for a long time ago. You've allowed billionaire owners to come in and dictate what they want. This is the monster that you created. The roosters or the chickens are coming home to whatever the saying is, man. Bruv, I'm livid, fam. I wanted to see chaos. I wanted to see FIFA cruel to their demise, but we're not gonna have it now. It's a shame.
Can I make a point off the back of what Els said about hypocrisy? Because I do think that's something that's been quite prevalent over the last 24 hours, 48 hours, however long it's been. It feels like it's just been like the most intense period of football ever, basically. But
I say this every week. Time is a void right now.
Yeah,
we're still
it really
mainly
is.
at home.
It really is. But like some of the hypocrisy from FIFA, for example, they're hosting a World Cup next December in Qatar off the back of some of the most horrific human rights abuses you'd ever imagine. Absolutely, them taking the moral high ground is an absolute farce.
It's mad.
And
I'm
how-
not gonna
and
lie.
how
I'm a
is-
hypocrite
and how
because I'm
is
probably
this-
going to that, but still, like, honestly,
Nah, bro,
Keeping
don't
it
go
real.
honestly, because the
no. But it's a joke. Like jokes
yeah,
aside,
yeah.
it's a joke.
It's
I
a
probably
joke,
won't
bro.
go.
Honestly,
You know, but
it's a joke.
nah.
UEFA as well, and UEFA taking the more high ground when they produce a competition with this Swiss model. It's just as bad that entrenches elitism. What
Mike,
on earth is going on?
And
I don't
look at the lack of
the UEFA thing as well. I don't understand why they created this UEFA Conference League and opened it to the higher divisions. Their whole kind of rhetoric in the past few years is we want to get more teams involved in European football, more teams involved in the grand stage. So you create a Conference League where someone like fucking, I don't know, is it going to be the 8th place, the 9th place, the 10th place Premier League team's going to be in there? That's not going to be fun for anyone involved.
So the way the Swiss model works is you can't have more than 7 teams in all competing in Europe. So for example, they're going to have the Champions League, Europa League, and this UEFA Conference League, right? And only one team from each country goes to the UEFA Conference League. So if you, by virtue of, I don't know, overperforming or whatever, get 5 people in the Champions League, then you have to take away 1 from the Europa or 1 from the Conference League. You can only have 7 at any given time competing in Europe. Yeah,
right,
so I mean, the Swiss model is an absolute joke. It's literally the same thing, but I think on UEFA and FIFA and these organizations that actually govern football, it needs to stop. I think it's actually a joke. Like was it? Yeah, it was Florentino Perez yesterday said that nobody knows how much the chairman of UEFA gets. That doesn't, like, his wage. That doesn't make any sense. That's a farce. Do you get what I'm trying to say? He could literally be on more than Messi, and we just never know. You know, because everybody's asking where the money goes. We don't know. Do you get me? So what interest are they really protecting? Like, the money they must be making must be absolutely out of this world as a result, you know, and the quality of the competition is only diminishing, you know? So, you know, good luck, man. Good luck. Because the Champions League, honestly speaking, outside of Liverpool, I don't watch group stages. That's me being honest. You know?
Florentino Perez was absolutely correct yesterday when he said that no one really cares about the Champions League until he gets to the quarterfinals.
And
I asked my brother. I mean, my brother's probably a poor example because he's a 16-year-old. He actually loves football, but boys his age don't really care about ball no more. They don't care about football. It's actually like the interest is dwindling.
I think that's partly because, by the way, these football clubs have priced people out of the game.
100%.
Like young lads, how can a young lad who's 16 afford to go to a game now? Like 60, 70 pounds to get a ticket to a game. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah. But then here lies my point. Wouldn't it be better if the tickets were cheaper? Access to you could tailor your access to watch the games you actually want to watch, which makes it cheaper as well in terms of broadcasting. Wouldn't that be better for everybody? Of course it would. Of course the clubs would make more money individually, but it's be based on merit because they're performing, so teams want to play, people want to watch them. They have more fans based on merit. But this whole, like, Sky Sports needs to just, like, completely, you know, disintegrate if they don't change the way they run things. But it's killing the game. It's killing the game. That's just the truth. That's honestly the truth, you know?
Why? The thing is, my thing is, why would you pay, let's say, £80 a month to be told, oh, you're going to watch Aston Villa versus West Brom at Sunday at
They
2
want
o'clock.
they wanted to charge you £15 to watch West Brom fucking was it
Oh.
Burnley, Sheffield United?
During a pandemic, by the way.
During
People are
the
so
pandemic.
people are actually people. You know what? Everybody is susceptible to this. We're so stupid. Like we are. Like we're so
Bro,
stupid because
I
this was our
I
chance.
I honestly hope this is a moment where we realise just how unequal football is. And listen, I do believe the bigger clubs should eat a slice of the cake, but I also do think we need to look after each other here as well and make sure that we aren't seeing these inequalities between clubs grow. That's my big concern.
But Mike, you see, this is where I feel like you're being very naive, because we had an opportunity to see, when the shoes on the other foot, when the smaller clubs, do they really care? Let's see. Let's have 5 subs. Let's all have 5 subs. Just something as small as that. They didn't want to give. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Imagine, like, you run a business. You've been in that business for 20 odd years, right? And there's a new employee and there's a new legislation, which means, we're going to get extra 15-minute break, right? But obviously he's like, nah, I don't want the CEO to get an extra 15-minute break. Man's out here grafting. I'm trying to move up the ladder. Bun that. If he gets a 15-minute break, that means I'm working less and I have less chance to get a promotion. And he has the same equal vote as you that's been there for 20 years. Like,
Fair.
on every single matter, not just like big things. 5 substitutions. 5. And guess who suffered for it?
For player welfare.
You get literally in the interest of physical health.
I understand that, by the way, but that doesn't mean we should ignore the wider inequalities in football. Like, I understand that. I understand that.
So for me, I'm gonna say here, I don't really care about the smaller clubs because they don't care about the bigger clubs either. Nobody cares about nobody. So we need to stop pretending that it's all holistic and because it's not a franchise. So nobody cares about nobody. Okay, it's never gonna happen because it's not one league that is like supporting each other. Everybody's competing in every single way, off the pitch and on the pitch. So nobody actually cares about anybody. But this fake morality thing needs to stop. Mike, you need to wake up because it's not real. It doesn't exist. No club likes another club. No such thing exists in football.
And
that's my opinion.
And the thing is, like, for instance, we gave Southampton 75 million British sterling pounds for Van Dijk. Yeah, whatever they done with the money, that's their business. But the money trickles down. If your player is good and the top teams have like Florentino Perez said it. He said it, like, the small teams will benefit because we're gonna come and we have more money to come for your best players. Like, for instance, Grealish will probably leave in the summer for Aston Villa. Probably say 75 for 100 million, whatever. Fam, you just banked 100.
Do you not think now? Do you not think after all this has gone down, Villa are going to go? Why are we going to sell you a new player now after you try to leave? Price has gone up. It's 120 million now.
You know what I'm saying? It's
we got to talk about FSG, by the way, surely.
Yeah, Mike, you do that because you have a lot to say on this.
Bro, my thing is, listen, I can understand from a club's point of view why they felt, listen, let's join the Super League. My problem is, why don't you front this up yourselves? Why don't you say, listen, you release a statement on the club website without any word from yourselves? It's Joel Glazer that's in the statement. It's Florentino Perez, I think, as well. My big problem with FSG has always been, and I've been someone, by the way, who's always said, listen, whenever they make mistakes, there's genuine contrition after the matter. So they are genuinely sorry. So for the ticket prices in 2015, whenever it was, they were genuinely sorry, I thought they were sorry when they tried to trademark Liverpool, the name. I thought they were sorry after that. I think this moment has made me realise that they make these mistakes. They don't actually care or understand the club or the culture of the club. And they make these mistakes because of their poor communication skills and they're quite cowardly in the way they manage things. And that's my big problem. Like, if you're going to make a decision of this magnitude, you have to front it up. You have to. It's simply like cowardly to not do so. To leave the players in the dark where they're the ones fielding questions after we play Leeds and before we play Leeds. Your manager's fielding questions before the game, after the game, during a press conference. That is cowardly.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Cowardly. That's proper embarrassing. It's
embarrassing from all the clubs involved as well, because every single manager of the clubs involved had to front these questions. And then they're thinking, well, I wasn't consulted in this. I found out the exact same way you are. I have the exact same information that you have. No one's told me. So how can I give you a proper answer? And then
Do you
they're going to
believe
go
that?
off.
Nah,
I
I'm
think
sure they-
Klopp said something yesterday that made me think he had a little bit of an idea about it. He said that he saw I don't know if he was on about the actual Champions League format itself, but he said something where he said I saw the plans months ago, and I don't actually agree with it.
Yeah, I think it was the Champions League.
They were definitely briefed. There's no despot. I'm sorry, they've been briefed. They've known about this for a long time, but obviously, FSG being as intelligent as they are, and these football owners are actually really intelligent people. Like,
yeah, they're not. This is the thing; they're not stupid people. You know what I mean?
You get me?
The Glazers, FSG, Kroenke. These guys are not stupid people. I mean, look at Stan Kroenke. Has the Denver Nuggets, has the Los Angeles Rams. You look what he's done with both franchises. These guys are not stupid people.
No, yeah, they're smarter than most people you know. Maybe not Mike, because he probably went to school in Cambridge and that. But no, I'm joking. No, but seriously, they're smarter than most of the people we know. And obviously they thought, do you know what? Even if this does go ahead and there's backlash, we still got to protect our brand long term. So it can't be, Klopp has to look like he's against it, if it fails. Because if we do go into the Super League, what's he lost by saying he's against it? He's still competing and he's still managing the club. But if he supports it and is in favor of it and it doesn't go ahead, he's always going to look like that guy that supported the Super League, and so are the players, So I think the players knew, but they're just trying to protect the brand, and that's really intelligent of them, So it does look on the surface like it's cowardly, but I think they're just trying to protect protect the players. But the owners should do interviews. They should like, Woodward's a coward. He resigned. It's what's that guy called? David Cameron all over again, just resigning. When the pressure's on, they just they step aside. You know what I mean? Like, and it's cowardly. I can't rate it, personally speaking. Anyway,
there is a fine line. I mean, they do have to front to this. They do have to explain what the process was, what the general thinking was behind of it. But then there's also the fine line of doing what Florentino Perez is doing and just basically becoming James Corden on a nightly basis with his live streams, which are which is pretty interesting. I will say as well, there's a massive amount of hypocrisy going on in terms of people saying that then there's no turning back. FSG need to sell, but for some reason they're now happy to have potential Arab owners, Saudi owners, who have literal blood money, human rights violations. So for a fan base as emotional as Liverpool are, and I made a joke earlier on that imagine if Liverpool had fan ownership, it'd be like fucking warfare. Imagine Liverpool fan ownership trying to agree a new contract for Wijnaldum.
It'd be crazy.
It'd be insane. But especially when it is a club like this, when it's so deeply rooted in a togetherness and a spiritness, which is unlike any other club. I don't think you can have it both ways. You can't have this owner who comes in who bodies everything that is about the club and its ideals. Because at the end of the day, this is a business, and it has to be run as such, and it has to be profitable.
You can't.
Can I touch on one thing? Sorry, guys. Sorry, because I think it would go amiss. We have to touch on this, and because in the last year, we've seen varying topics and varying issues in the world, and with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, we saw how Sky behaved. General media, behaved and how much they cared. You know what I mean? And they didn't have any free 45-minute Monday Night Football coverage. There wasn't a nationwide uproar for black, players and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Everything's exactly the same. And Wilfred Zaha doesn't. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, Wilfred Zaha doesn't. What do you call it? Stand nil anymore because it's all bogus. Look how I rate Patrick Bamford so much for what he said yesterday, because look how quickly everything's been dealt with when it's coming to money. When it comes to real life issues, things that are affecting young players coming up in the game, nobody cares. You know what I mean? And that's why I think
they've turned taking the knee into some pre-match ritual.
Yeah.
Bro,
you take the knee for 9 seconds and then the game kicks off. Racism in football, if they exerted the same energy, Carragher and Neville doing an inquest into racism in football, every sinew in their body popping out, anger. If they did that
Where
about
was
racism,
where was this energy when Raheem Sterling came to Gary Neville?
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
Listen, I have no respect for them, man. There,
We need to mobilize against racism. There are players who wake up and they're getting called the N word by some fan. They're being racially abused in stadiums when fans are in the stadiums. Why are we not mobilizing as a group of fans and going against and finding solutions to this?
where's the coverage of Thierry Henry coming off social media? Because the social media platforms are doing nothing about racism. But as soon as there's a clip of the Premier League, you put Premier League, your accounts get suspended.
Yep,
quick,
because it doesn't affect anyone's bottom line. That's the only reason.
You know
why.
what I mean? So,
bro, ultimately, people do not care about
to
racism. They don't care about racism. Unfortunately, the
that.
powers that be have no idea how it feels to be racially abused and how dehumanizing it can feel to be racially abused. How horrible it feels. They don't know that feeling.
Exactly. So, I think, personally speaking, if anything comes out of this, is hopefully see the end of UEFA and FIFA in its current form. Structure. Like, there needs to be accountability. There needs to be transparency. And there needs to be change, So, yeah, again, I think that Mike could be naive, but I fully support you in saying that I hope there's change as a result of this. You know what I mean? But I'm not optimistic in this regard.
It's what you get when you tune into Kop End. Lovely debates. Or at the end of the day, we're all friends, and it's fantastic. We did play a game of football yesterday, if anyone wants to please talk about that.
Did we?
Apparently.
On this game, Krish, like I honestly, I didn't care about this game up until like a few hours ago when everyone pulled out of the Super League, and I'm like, this really matters now.
Thinking, hang on a minute, this actually mattered. Shit. I'm even more mad that fucking Saladin buried that one chance now. Yeah, we'll touch a little bit about the game because it's one of those ones where you can't really break it down in much detail. It's the same old story over and over again. Liverpool. First half, I thought they're absolutely phenomenal. Created a lot of chances, played really well. Second half, still had some chances, but they allowed Leeds to stay in the game and put pressure on them, and it resulted in a goal that was far too easy to concede. And again, Liverpool created all the chances in the world, couldn't finish, and it's just another kind of another piece of evidence. If you want to take it to the transfer to Michael Edwards to say that we probably need a goal scorer in number 9 or a little bit of a refresh of the front three. In all honesty.
Yeah, you can't really disagree with what you said, bro. I was kind of disappointed with Klopp, kind of disappointed with his substitutions. Firmino and Gini were running on fumes or just weren't running anyway. I don't know what they were doing, to be fair. And he kept them on. They both played 90 minutes. Oh, did Firmino come off? No, he didn't.
No, he played the whole 90.
Yeah, he played the whole 90, which was astonishing to me. Because at one point, Leeds were just running through our midfield. We couldn't hold the ball. We couldn't play football. I think at the end of the game, it ended with 61% possession to Leeds, 39 to Liverpool. We didn't have no control in that second half. And it was just frustrating to see. Obviously, Fabinho was playing at centre back, which didn't really help. There was actually one game I actually missed, Nat Phillips. Can you imagine that? Oh, what a time to be alive. But yeah, it's just one of them things where Liverpool blew it. We should have done better. That Salah chance where he snatched on his left foot, should do better there. Jota had a couple of chances where he should take. It's just frustrating, man. It's just bare frustrating because that first half was sick, fam. We was cutting them to shreds. They could not handle us. Trent was going down that right hand side like a steamroller. Robertson looked good. Was getting in behind. There was one chance where Gini's got the ball on the edge of the area and Mane's just practically by himself and Gini just decides to go and shoot on his left foot. Not too sure what that was about. Can someone tell me?
No clue.
That pissed me off so much. Was that not crazy, Chris? Sorry, I couldn't
It's insane. There's so many moments with Wijnaldum where it looks like he's kind of got the outlet to lay a clever pass, but then for some reason takes 7 touches and recycles possession. And you just sitting there thinking, why is the ball at Kabak's feet when we were literally by the goal? Like, what is actually happening? What was going on?
He's a crazy
I just-
footballer, Junior Wijnaldum. Absolutely crazy footballer.
I mean, I'll miss him, but stuff like that, I'm going to be like, fucking hell, lad. Like, what's going on? I thought I gotta give a massive shout out to Thiago last night. I think that was maybe one of his best games in a Liverpool shirt.
He was good. He was good.
He was really awesome. He was playing really good balls over the top, really tidy in possession. But yeah, man, it's just so annoying.
Krish, it just feels like with us, it takes so much. So sorry, El. It takes so much for us to score a goal in a game. Like we have to work so hard to like. Even yesterday, we played really well in the first half, but we have to work so hard for the first goal. But with Leeds, they can they played well in the second half, but they can create minimal chances and score the easiest and softest goal in the world, and that's the game for us. And that's been the case for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Against Real Madrid, we play okay in the game at Anfield, we create chances. We have a bad 30-minute spell at their ground, and we concede 3 really soft goals.
Yes,
and that's it. That's how it is for us at the moment. We're really easy to score against, and we find it hard to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's a really bad combination if you want to win football matches.
Yes, it's really tough right now. I mean, luckily, I don't know if anybody just checked. Chelsea drew, so
Thank God. Thank God.
That's a fantastic result for us. But yeah, honestly speaking, I think to be fair, I mean, I looked at our fixture list. This was one I was worried about. So I'll actually, in hindsight, like I thought we should have put the game away, but that's the story of our season. We should have put the game away. Salah is. Like his last 2 games, the chances he's missed, it's like
not good enough at all.
No,
Not
not
good
good
enough.
enough.
No,
It's not good enough.
That's poor. But you know,
So and the thing, sorry, bro, my
can't
internet's
hear him.
cutting out, fam. Sorry, it's about that.
sorry, bro.
Sorry,
no,
sorry.
go on.
It seems like there's a lag. Yeah, but I was just gonna say with Salah, like every time he always like snatches at chances, and I dislike elite forwards who snatch at chances. It's kind of mad. Like the chance he had yesterday, he could have easily taken another touch and gone forward.
The one where he scuffed it.
Yeah, like he could easily take a touch. He's stronger. He's quicker than them. Like really and truly, nobody really wants Salah running at you. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a stocky youth. He's very quick. He could do whatever he wants to do, but he just snatches at it. I think it's a personification of just Liverpool. Liverpool's always snatching at things. Even Oxlade-Chamberlain's last minute chance. Where
Oh God, yeah.
My days.
What me and you were saying yesterday, like, just put your foot through it.
bro, don't take a touch.
listen.
Don't think about it. 5 foot back in the net, easy. But he wants to think about it, so his head is working faster than his body. He tries to take a touch, it's bubbled off, and so yeah, man.
I think Ox is the kind of player that puts a lot of pressure on himself. Like the good thing is he still believes he's good enough to start for Liverpool, but as a result, when he plays, he's overdoing it. You know what I mean? And it's so apparent when he's playing. Like when he missed that chance, obviously we knew it was a good chance to miss, but you could see how frustrated he was. You can see that.
He looked like the feet, like the ground beneath him.
Defeated, yeah.
He
lives rent free in his own head, basically.
Yeah, literally. And he spoke about that. He spoke about how much his dad affects his game, and you know, even Wenger spoke about how even when he was a professional in the Premier League, Wenger was like, nah, he needs to, you know, sort his head out in a sense where he puts a lot of pressure on himself, and it obviously comes from the father, you know, his dad being really, really, really like hard on him. But Ox isn't the level for Liverpool anymore, man. We just have to be real. We can speak truly on this in this pod, and it's injuries. It's not because he's not a good player, you know. If he didn't have those injuries, he'd be a good impact player for us. But as it stands, he's not the level, man. We bash Naby, rightfully so, but you know, I think Ox just isn't the level anymore required to play for Liverpool. And there's quite a few players that fall into that category. You know, if we want to continue on the upward trajectory, certain players, we just can't entertain them playing for Liverpool anymore.
If we want to be getting that Super League money, we need to do something.
You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you, by the way, Faruk, because we've been having so many conversations like in the past few weeks about what our individual strategy would be with for the summer transfer window. So, what would you look? What specific players would you look to bring in if you have any names kind of to hand? What would you kind of?
What do you think our money? What do you think our financial situation is?
So you know the transfer game that we did last year. I've been redoing that this year. I've given us 80 million quid.
Yeah, I listen. I mean, with that, we're gonna have to look at that list that Marco. You know what I mean?
Fucking hell.
And that's real. Like for real. Like, do you know what it is though? I don't know how much money everybody's gonna have to spend. I know that Liverpool last year we didn't borrow money. A lot of clubs borrowed money
This is my thing for the transfer game, because obviously we had the FSG had the investment from Redbird Capital, and obviously the money that was put back into the club offset all the lost all the sunk costs and the lost revenue from COVID. So it puts you on a break-even point. So you'd assume there would be some form of healthy transfer budget going to this summer, which has been a little bit the message. And again, you'd assume that a few players would go out the door. You generate what, conservatively, £70 million worth of sales. Because I think this summer you probably actually do get money for players such as Harry Wilson's, your Marco Grujić's, even guys like Shea Ojo, who've been playing really well for Cardiff and can do a job in the Championship. So I think there is an actual kind of plan there for the outgoings. Guys like Shaqiri and Origi, I'm still not entirely too sure what their valuations are.
But Chris, wouldn't you say that? Wouldn't you not say that with all our front three being 29, one of them's going to go?
Yeah, I genuinely think one of them has to go, and that sounds cruel. And I think that one player probably has to be Sadio Mane. So
his stock has nosedived. So I mean, realistically, you're not getting anything more than 60 million, 50 million from Mane. Am I being too harsh?
I think you can probably push one of the clubs to get paid 70, but yeah, his
maybe PSG because he's a French-speaking player. You never know, but honestly speaking, I would go for Sancho. I would go for Sancho. Actually, I wouldn't. That's a lie, because we need a striker. Like we need a goal scorer. With that being said,
Faruk, who would you go for though? Because like Haaland's the obvious choice, but he wouldn't sign for us.
Yeah, we don't have the money.
Mbappe is a dream as well. It's like I was thinking about it. I don't know, apart from like Andre Silva, who plays for Frankfurt, I can't think of any striker who.
You'd have to take a punt on a player like flipping Donny Malen. You literally, there's no middle ground. We're kind of in a sticky situation. You know, we're actually in a sticky situation. So that's why I'm like, okay, what do we do here? Do we use Firmino as, you know, you go to PSG and say, look, take Mane and we'll put a little bit on top for, not a little bit, but we'll put quite a bit on top for Mbappe? Or we have to be smart. We have to find a way, because we can't sign the Donny Malen. We can't, because we need someone who's ready right now.
Yeah, and I agree.
I don't know what we're going to do unless the idea is to move Salah centrally, because I think that's probably the best option. You know, you move Salah centrally and you sign a winger, which is easier to get.
That's what I'll do.
That's what I think the solution is.
Because when you look at it, there is a dearth of a real lack of good centre forwards available in the market for the price range that he wants. So even again, like a player like Lukaku, Inter probably can't sell him because of their financial woes. He's on what, 240 grand a week, and he's going to cost about 90 million quid. That's unsustainable.
And he's 27, 28. We can't do that. Harry Kane's probably available. Well, he wants to be available. We can't afford him. We can't afford the players that we need in that position.
And Daniel Levy would rather set himself on fire than sell him to someone like Liverpool. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. And then you are left in the realm of do you bid on a guy like Milan or the guy from Fiorentina, Vlahovic? Do you kind of go for these type of players where they're young, they're still raw, they've proved they can do the business in their respective leagues, but but doing it in the Premier League is a completely different beast. You look at a guy like, you know, West Ham took a punt on Sebastian Haller for £40 million plus, did not pay off for them whatsoever, and he was banging in goals and getting assists for Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. So it is a risky game, but I think that might have to. I think the swap deal with PSG, I think that might have to be something they generally look into, or they have looked into, in terms of what they do with a player. And it might even have to, if it got to a point where they were like, okay, not even a straight swap deal, but something on top, and maybe Mohamed Salah for Kylian Mbappe. At least you're getting a younger asset in return. It's something they might just generally have to look at, because there's also other areas of the pitch we do need to strengthen. I think centre-back is still an issue. I think goalkeeper, in terms of having a dependent number 2 goalkeeper, has to be looked at. Again, there's a shortage of goalkeepers that we would want to have of the level of a Liverpool backup, because if someone's good enough to be back off Liverpool, they probably do end up being the number 1 goalkeeper at another club. We saw that with Emi Martinez, etc. And again, central midfield is going to be an issue.
Do you think central midfield? I mean, guys, I don't know what's going on with Curtis Jones. Like,
I think he's carrying a knock.
Okay,
He's injured, but I think there's something deeper, man.
Because I feel like he was making headway. No.
Yeah,
I honestly think
it's ever since that. It's ever since that incident with the England under 21s.
Prior to that, yeah, well, he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing prior to that.
Yeah, I just think that in the situation we're in as a club, right, you need that kind of player with a bit of magic, and we obviously thought Thiago would be that, and I think maybe he can be in a fully fit Liverpool team, but Curtis Jones is a bit unpredictable in the centre of the park. You know what I mean? And I feel like we could have used him, and I feel like centre mid would probably be the least of my worries going into the summer. Personally speaking, I think we've got one more good season out of Jordan Henderson. Fabinho's fantastic. Thiago will come good, I think. Ginny's gonna leave, but I feel like maybe Ginny's replacement is Curtis Jones in a different way, because we become more attacking. Maybe Shaqiri's replacement is Harvey Elliott. That's how we have to kind of approach it, because how many games has Shaqiri really played, and what has he actually done? We need to get rid of David Kokorigi, because he doesn't actually play for the club anymore, essentially.
Faruk, don't get my pot tonight, please. My head.
No, it was his birthday the other day. Let's allow him. You know what I mean? But no. I think I'd probably go for Sancho and move Salah in the middle. That's what I'd do for our front three. And maybe go with a different system, play 4-2-3-1, or move Salah.
With a 4-2-3-1.
It's an obsession. I know it's sick. Yeah.
No, I actually agree that he does have his merits at the moment. Yeah. But with the Curtis Jones point, I will make this our last point before we do sign off. Do you think he'd benefit from being on the left-hand side of a 4-2-3-1? Yeah,
that would work definitely, because that's actually where I first saw him play as a youth player. On the left-hand side, it wasn't in a 4-2-3-1, it was a 4-3-3. But I do feel like, in a 4-2-3-1, you're a little bit more central, and it's a little bit more compact. And, he has got that, outside of the box finesse into the top right-hand corner from the left side. I think he's got that in his game. I think we actually have a really, really good talent in our hands in him, and I think we need to do the best to make sure within the next 18 months, he's starting for us regularly. That will be a bitter disappointment if he's not. That means we failed, for me personally. So if that means a 4-2-3-1, and I do believe it is an obsession, but I actually do believe secretly that Klopp wanted that system. He's wanted that, but personnel hasn't allowed us to do that, But I think the front three, one player is going to make it. If we add, just say even the front three as is, you add Sancho to that. Now you have Jota, Firmino, Mane, Salah, and Sancho. That's crazy. Just by adding one player. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's just about the money. There's no money there. You know what I mean? There's no monny. But what I'd be doing in the transfer game if I was.
I'm really looking forward to see it. Looking forward to see it. I'm generally surprised that we've not heard anything about maybe Memphis Depay as well. But that's it.
Wait, has he didn't resign in it? So what's happening with him?
Free agent.
That's something to look into. Actually, I didn't cross my mind. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting summer. That's for sure, because I think there's a lot of important decisions that do definitely need to be made. And now with everything that's gone on, it's more important than ever that these decisions get made properly, so people who are feeling already undervalued can stay in their jobs and be fulfilled in that. But gents, this has been a very, very good conversation to have this evening. Thankfully, nothing changed whilst we were discussing it, which was the main thing, because I was very conscious that 16 things might happen whilst we're recording. We have to break. But no, thank you very much for joining me. I have been your host, Krish, and I've been joined by Ellis, Mike, and Faruk. That has been your episode of Kop End Fracas for April the 21st. But yeah, we are going forward in the year. But we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.